Welcome to the Builders Podcast, episode 73, how the unified email capture WordPress plugin was built and launched. The process. Before we jump into this episode, please subscribe to this podcast if you love business and real stories from the trenches. And after a listen, please give us a thumbs up, like, and share if we've earned it. Hit that notification bell too if you're on YouTube so you don't miss each episode. With your help, we can reach more people and deliver these valuable From the Trenches lessons to those that need it. Enjoy the episode. Welcome to another The Builders. This is going to be fun today. We're going to be talking about a new product that I hopefully launched tomorrow. Well, it's actually a couple days ago when this publishes. See, the plan is to launch it tomorrow. So this is Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. It's going to launch on Friday if I get the okay from my developer. We're doing some last minute changes on the plugin itself that hopefully will pass. And tomorrow morning I wake up, seal the deal, get that thing uploaded to deliver. In the freemium system we use to deliver the product and manage licensing and all that. And if that's all good, then I'm all ready to send out an email to my list and make the site live and announce it on social media tomorrow. But this publishes the following Monday. So I wonder if that happened or not. All right, no, this is going to be on a serious note. It could. I mean, we may delay it. Maybe today. Maybe today it's launching. Sometimes you have to be fluid. You have to just go with the flow. We definitely do not want to release a product that's not ready to be released. So everything else, the copy, the website we deliver it on, all that stuff can be not perfect. Okay. But the product itself needs to be not perfect. Maybe there's a bug or two that we don't know about. But it has to be in pretty good shape. We'll talk about today about where we're at with that and what actually we'll talk about why we're having to check at the last minute, what happened there, all that fun stuff. Particularly if you're in the WordPress realm and you plan to launch a plugin or have, you'll probably find this episode very interesting. But in general, just launching a product of any kind, whether that's an info product, a book, or some other kind of product, a membership, all that stuff. There's a lot of these lessons that we talk about here can be applied in multiple arenas. Because at the end of the day, a lot of the things we do in business can apply across different industries and different types of products and services and stuff. So that's what I know just from having all the guests we've had on here from all these different types of businesses and services and all that. I learn from everybody. And sometimes I'm listening to somebody that's selling something completely different. I'm like, that's a good idea. That's a good point. Because when you talk about teams, especially, and how things are developed or how you sell things and the marketing side of it, a lot of that, there's a lot of similarities. But what I like to do also on this podcast is talk about my products and my services. I run a small agency, relatively speaking. I don't know what you compare it to. It's probably large in some if you look at it in a certain way. So I sell my own, I have an agency, we sell services, web design services, do a lot of WordPress stuff. But now we're getting into the realm of products. We're going to start selling products again. We used to have our own product. We had something called Hexater, HEXATER.com. It was a WordPress marketplace to sell. We sold themes there. We had, at one point, we almost had 100 themes. That's a whole nother story. We won't get into that today. But I did phase that business out because of all the changes that happened the last few years with WordPress, particularly with Gutenberg, block editing, and full site editing, and all the things that are happening. I could have tried to make it survive. There's probably ways we could have continued to sell that product, but I like to be on the cutting edge and do things the WordPress way. And the WordPress way has changed. Okay. So we're going to be talking about unified captures today. Unified email captures. I correct myself. And I'll tell you why I have to correct myself and why I called it email captures. It's all good. So if you've been following me for any time, you've heard me talk about Unified Toolkit. A Unified Toolkit is on the just over the horizon. It's coming. It'll get here. Unified Toolkit is something I've been dreaming up and thinking about for a couple of years. And it's been delayed because I put my agency first. And I've talked about that before. I know that in previous episodes, but I have a busy agency. I have clients to take care of, really important clients, really important projects. And that all has to come first. That's just our model, right? Services first right now, maybe forever. But products is definitely something. It's something I've sold products forever online, and my forever is like 20 years. Probably not quite 20 years. Probably more like 17, something like that. When I had products back in like 2004 or 5. I started selling products, and certainly there was time frames where I didn't have products, but I love having products, and I feel like a little bit of a fish out of water when I don't have actual products to sell, digital products. So, but in any case, Unified Toolkit is something that is actually a larger project. It's not just providing products. It's also training, and there's a graphics component. There's all kinds of stuff. It's a toolkit to build websites, but we're not just giving you a toolkit. We're teaching you how to use that toolkit and to sell WordPress services. But part of what I ended up doing earlier this year is I kind of changed my thinking around it, because there's a lot of moving parts just around developing a plugin. Now, when you multiply that plugin, because we're going to have multiple plugins, by 3 at least, it was 4 or 5, but I whittled it down to 3, plus a block theme, plus all this other stuff we're doing, it gets a little crazy and overwhelming. And also, it's just, like my brain I can see it all. I see it all. I see the final product. I see what we're delivering. I see the members areas. I see the training. I haven't even created it yet. That's how crazy my brain is. I see everything. I see the sales pages before we even have a product. And which is good and bad. But what I had to do is I had to rein myself in. Like, let's just focus on one plugin at a time, so we can make sure we build them right, we build them well, and we have documentation and training and help for each piece instead of trying to do it all at once. So what I'm at, and actually it also did another thing. So the Unified Toolkit's actually for freelancers and agencies. It's for people that are selling products. The plugins are now standalone. And we're actually going to, the plugins we're selling are actually for businesses. Unified Toolkit actually just gets access to those to use as a toolkit. So it kind of brings them all together. But they can all be sold standalone. And so we'll have unified plugins that are going to be for the public at large. And so I started with something called Unified Email Capture. Now, why email capture? There's several plugins out there already that capture emails, right? Well, here's the thing. The reason I'm building these things is not just to sell them. I wasn't just like thinking, well, I'm going to create a product so I can make money. That's not it. I mean, standalone, right? I'm actually creating it for myself. What I did as an agency, I looked at what we do on a daily basis. We build websites. What does every website have? Some kind of name capture, even if it's a contact form. But many times they have a name capture. They're capturing names with a email service or whatever. We do this ourselves on our sites, right? What do we do ourselves? That's the other question. So what do we have in common on every single website that we build? And that's email capture. So that is where I started. You know what? We're going to start with an email capture plugin. We're going to build it. That way we can build it the way we want it. We can build the things into it that we use all the time. We can build our own unique interface, make it easy to use. And then we'll allow other people to use it too. We'll sell it. So we start with the agency. We start with, just like we agency first, we're actually building it for ourselves first. So that's what we're working on. Again, we're going to try to hopefully launch this tomorrow as of this recording. Hopefully by the time you see this, it'll be launched. If not, maybe I'll have a little update in this video or something. I'll update it maybe at the end or something, or maybe in the beginning, or maybe in the middle. I don't know. I'll let you know. But if nothing, if it is launched, I probably won't update you because you won't need to be. Because just assume it's launched. Anyway, so this plugin though is first in a series. So again, the larger vision is to build multiple plugins and to have a theme that to build websites easily. It's non-page builder. Okay, so I'm anti-page builder when I'm building something custom from the ground up. I don't want to use page builders. It's not necessary. I mean, WordPress has basically become its own page builder with blocks, right? So that's kind of a weird legacy thing to think about page builders. Like, why do you need a page builder? What are you building? You can do it all with WordPress. So we're doing that first. We're doing all this stuff. So email captures, then we have a blocks plugin. So the blocks plugin, where I'm building very specific blocks for a very specific website build. So we're building sections. These blocks are sections. So stuff that we can kind of drag in, create, kind of prototype something out really quick, build something out real quick, or use it so they'll be standardized. So we'll be able to use those in a design. So if somebody wants a website designed, we already have a plugin with those sections and we can restyle them. They're not written in stone in terms of styling. So we can style something. We have that structure with the block. And so that's something we can develop over time and add to and stuff. We're starting out with 5 blocks. The actual plugin is actually, even though we're launching captures right now, the block plugin is actually just finishing up the initial development. So we're starting with 5 blocks. And we have a tweaks plugin that also has already gone pretty far. I have multiple developers working on this stuff. That actually says some really interesting things. That's actually non-blocks. Tweaks is something where it's more related to things like security, life things to make our life easier. For example, the tweaks plugin actually does something with the admin bar. When you are working on a site and you have this admin bar that's in the way, we have actually a minified admin bar. I won't go too far into that, but it's a secret. It's months out. But so things like that, like things we use when we're working with staging sites, and it also has duplicate posts built into it, because so many sites we want to just duplicate posts in our own sites. Like my podcast site, I just duplicate the content. I want to make it easy to do that. Yes, there's other plugins that do that, but we're going to have it all in this neat little plugin. And again, we can build it the way we want. So email captures, block plugin, and tweaks plugin. That is our goal this year. And then eventually Unified Toolkit. That will be actually the funny thing about Unified Toolkit is the copy is already done. I already have the sales page done. It's like built. And so we're just putting the components all together, and eventually we'll probably have a pre-launch or something for that. That's another story. Back to the captures plugin. So how did this all come together? So with the captures plugin, email captures, my goal was, well, first of all, I had actually built an email capture plugin years ago, literally like, I don't know, 6 years ago or something like that, when I worked at a Rapid Crush. And I had sold it to our list at that time. And it did okay, but we were more about themes at that time. And then it sat there for a long, long time. And that was before Gutenberg and everything. So it was built in a certain way. And so what we did, though, is we took that and we rebuilt it from scratch to be block only. So it's a block plugin. So if you don't use blocks, this is not your plugin. It's built for full site editing themes or block themes, whatever. If you got blocks, you can use this. So we built it all. It's all custom Gutenberg block development. That's that. But the goal was also to, so basically we kind of did the same thing we had then. We had 3 different services that it integrates with: MailChimp, GetResponse, and Aweber. We still have that. We just had to redo all the API stuff and build it all into blocks. So it has some of the basics, but I also have just a basic WordPress form. A lot of times, so this is what our focus is. We're trying to build things for us first, right? So a lot of times I build a site and when a lot of clients, they just need something simple. But every single time I build a site, I have to install something like Gravity Forms or Contact Form 7. And these are the robust form plugins that, now you got this big plugin that, and you only need this, right? So what I did, I'm like, well, I don't have to do that anymore because I'm building my own form and email capture plugin. So I have that option to just build a simple contact form using WordPress's function to send mail through your server. You don't need a service, so you can use it for that. But it's blocks. So you can use it for that. And then if you do have MailChimp or you do have GetResponse or Aweber, you can create blocks anywhere you want on your site. It's a beautiful thing. Now we're also going to, but the thing about this is that's minimal viable. That is what we're starting with. We don't even have all the features yet, just for like things like MailChimp. There's other things I want to do with that, but there's also other features. There's I want to have some out of the box pop-ups and things that you can configure that way too. Right now, if you want to pop up and here's the thing, the site, the sales page, the site that I'm selling this plugin on, I'm using the plugin on. How cool is that? So I actually do have a pop-up, but I do have another recommended plugin right now, a pop-up plugin it's interesting. They're not every pop-up plugin supports blocks. So I had to find one that supported blocks. And so I did that, but eventually we'll have that. And we're going to have other features. I have other ideas, lots of ideas, but you have to start minimal viable because otherwise, just like Unified Toolkit, it's like, I have lots of ideas, but you got to say which ones can wait. Let's build something minimal. Let's get it out there, get in the hands of people, get some feedback. So I started with that though, like those services and the basics and blocks. And that is what we built. So you have to limit yourself, to rein yourself in like I do, especially when you have a lot of ideas. So from there, I got help from my team. I have different developers working on the different plugins. Actually, that's technically true. I have 3 different plugins, 3 different developers working on them. Each are working on their own plugin. But so I had one of my developers focus just on this plugin, and it's tough. Again, we have an agency, and this developer is also working on client stuff, and that has to be a priority. But if I was ever going to get it done, I did have to make room for that. I had to find time in his schedule to work on this plugin. So it's kind of like, okay, we work on it and get it to this phase, and then, we got to work on client stuff. But I had to shuffle things around, and I had to, kind of figure out how to get client stuff done while he's also developing this, because he does a lot of client stuff. So it was challenging. It was challenging, but we're only have to do it one time. We're through it. We're through the worst of it. He'll probably continue to help me though in between things as we build out features. Or maybe I'll eventually have a dedicated plugin team if we do well. But anyway, so I leaned on the team. They did the development of the plugins. I guided the features and reviewed it and kind of guided that process and managed the project. But the developers did the coding and all that stuff. And with blocks, it's a whole thing. It's not like building plugins in the past. It involves some other skill sets around understanding React and how to, there's a lot. We won't get into that. But and again, we built it from the ground up, so there was a lot of work to do. I, however, built the website, and I had fun because you know what? We are a full site editing agency now if we need to be. And I'm like, well, if I'm going to build these niche sites to sell these plugins, I'm going to do full site editing. And I'm going to use our in-house full site editing block theme, which we do have and will be providing. It's actually not something I'm going to, well, I may give that one away for free. Not sure yet. It'll be included with stuff. But I have that. So I have an in-house framework for that. We've actually used that on a client site already. And so I use that theme, our in-house theme, to build. So if you can go to the sales page right now, you go to unifiedemailcapture.com. I'll put it if you're watching the video. If you go there, that's our block theme. So I built that site. I wrote the copy. I do our copywriting. I don't have a dedicated copywriter yet. So I wrote the copy. I did get some help reviewing it and editing it a little bit, but yeah. So I built all that out. It's all using that hero that you'll see is actually a pattern that I got off the WordPress site. It's a pattern. If you don't know what patterns are yet, you'll learn. WordPress. A lot of things are patterns now. You take basically they're just collections of blocks and they're styled. And so I used the block pattern for the hero. I think most of the sales page, if not all of it, is either patterns or just blocks that existed already. Like default blocks in WordPress. I didn't even use our block plugin yet. But you can build out a whole sales page like I did with just blocks and a simple block theme. I had to do a little styling, a little bit of extra stuff maybe, but for the most part, it turned out really, really well. So I did that. The other thing that I'm doing and I have to do is I have to hook everything into Freemius. We use Freemius to sell our plugins or products, WordPress products. There's a whole thing, there's licensing code when you're selling, products like WordPress products, just like software, right? There's licensing code. So when somebody buys, they buy a certain number of licenses. If they would, cancel their subscription or their license expires, they would get access to updates anymore. The plugin would still continue to work, but they wouldn't be able to update. That's the standard way to do it, right? I'm not going to try to get into all the details here. But that could be like a whole licensing maybe that's a future episode. But so I have configure all of that. Within that, I'm also, configuring we use MailChimp. There's an integration with Freemius. So I have to, anyone that buys, they get added to a list for that product so we can provide them updates and stuff. They also, so it's that, creating automations around that. There's an email capture on the website. That's also MailChimp that uses our plugin. But when they're added to a tag, and I have automations on MailChimp's side to send out emails, a couple automated follow-ups, and we'll probably send some broadcasts and stuff too. But so that's me. That's what I've been doing. So my team's building the plugins, but I'm building the site. And I could have had somebody actually build the site, but I really, in my business, in my agency, and what I do, it's really important in my opinion, it's very important that I stay in the game. I need to also build things, maybe not as often, not full time for sure, right? Just periodically have a project where I'm going to build it so I can keep up to date with and I can talk intelligently about what we do, and it helps me actually work with my team more because I continue to stay up to date on how things work. Even the plugins, even though I'm having them build the plugins, I need to learn how to maintain those and work with them. In case I need to go in there and fix a bug or whatever, or just, again, I have to be able to communicate and understand what they built and what we built on some level, right? I may not be doing most of the work, but I have to understand it on some rudimentary level, at least, in my opinion, the way I run things. So that's what the team's working on, the plugins. I'm working on the site and integrating everything and working on how we're going to market it and all that stuff, working with my marketing team, my one-person marketing team, and just getting that ready. So one of the things that you might find interest is it tripped us up a little bit. So there's a lot of lessons in this too. So I had a meeting with Jep, Jayep, Jep. That's what we call her. She has actually been with me for a long time, over a year, January last year. So what is it? Wow. It's like 14, 15 months. I don't even know. 16 months. Long time. She's actually my virtual assistant, but she also helps me with marketing, a lot of the social media stuff we do, distributing content, a lot of stuff. And we were having a meeting, and because she helps me a lot with marketing, I listen to her, and she listens to me. Now I come up with lots of ideas, and I'm set in my ways in some ways, right? I'm old school. We're having this conversation about the plugin, and I was kind of reviewing the sales page with her that I wrote. And one of the things she mentioned, she didn't like the name. So here's the thing. It was originally just going to be Unified Captures, right? And I had a reason for that. I like names to be short. I'm like, you always have to hear stories about Amazon's, like Amazon.com. Like, what is that? You're building the brand. The name doesn't matter. The logo doesn't matter. But she's like, I don't know what Captures is. If she's going to market it and put it out there, like, what is Unified Captures? What does that mean? Is it related to photography? She said, is it somebody capturing photographs? So we kind of had this conversation. I was actually we're pretty far along, right? You're going to be Unified Captures, right? And so it's for that reason, I maybe had one or two other reasons. And it had to have unified in it because that's what we're doing with our brand. Everything's unified, if you haven't noticed. And so I was going to leave it, but then I could tell it was still bugging her a little bit. And I'm like, you know what? So we were on, I think I was screen sharing already. Yeah, because I was showing her the sales page. And so I went to namecheap.com. And you go to namecheap.com, there's a field there for domain names. And I typed in unifiedemailcapture.com. It was available. I said, what do you think of that? She's like, yes. I'm like, you want me to change this, don't you? And so I let her win that one. I don't know if I let her. She just won it. I was just like, okay, she's going to be helping me with the marketing, social media, all this stuff. This is really, something that just, that made, she was right. I think at the end of the day, we were so far along. I'm like, I was set in this. I had the domain, everything. So, but with that, there is a little bit of a time sink. So I had to, it wasn't actually hard. I was just, on the changing the domain, actually moving the site. I didn't even move the site. I just went into a control panel and updated the name. And it was easy. I just added, a little DNS stuff. So 15 minutes later, I had the site on the new domain. That wasn't a problem. But then you realize, because in that moment, you're like, okay, there's going to be some changes. But then I had to change everything with Freemius, all our slugs, how it shows up in the admin, the plugin itself. So that's what's happening tonight. So I actually went in and made all these naming changes in the plugin, and everything seems to be working. All right. So I did test it, and I understood what I was changing. I'm like, I don't think this affects anything, but it's Gutenberg. I'm like, so I went to my developer and I said, I need you to review this and go through it and make sure I didn't break anything. So that is what we're doing last minute. But at the end of the day, like, I'm happy with the change. I think it's actually a really good change. I'm very thankful to have her. She puts me in my place sometimes. And, as the business owner, as the entrepreneur, as the guy that owns the business, I think it's important to, you have to listen to your team sometimes. It's not all about me. And sometimes I have to be open to suggestions and things. And I trust her judgment. She does an incredible job for me. And I know she's listening to this, and that. I appreciate you. Okay. So, but yeah, so that happened though. So that's great. That's done though. And now so once that's done, then tomorrow I'm all ready. We got the email stuff all set up, and I have a small list I'll be sending this to launch it to. And then we'll promote it on social media. Going forward, we'll be talking a lot about email marketing. That's part of this, right? And we have an email marketing plugin now. So we're going to have a name capture on the sales page to help somebody become an email marketing pro. And I get to share my experience. And besides the fact that I use it every day, use these forms for my clients and all that stuff, I've been email marketing since 2005. So I've learned a lot of lessons. I got a lot to share around that. I've built lists of thousands of people. And so, yeah, so it's a good thing to be in this space. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And it mixes things up. It gives us more content, more things to talk about and teach and help people with. So, but yeah, there's a lot of moving parts to creating a product, and launching that product and delivering that product and supporting that product. When you think about everything we've done, we have the sales page. We have, we have to build a sales system. We have licensing. We got MailChimp integrations. We got to think about pricing. How are we going to price it? You got to do a lot of testing. Things have to be reviewed before we really release it. And then once it's released, that's when the real work begins, right? And we're going to deliver it, and we're going to listen, and we're going to see what happens, and we're going to build more features, and we're going to have more fun. But it is a challenge though. And again, the big challenge for us, we already have a lot on our plate, and we do put our agency first and our clients first. So, but when you're determined, when you have a vision, again, you have to be, it might not happen in the time frame you want. You may have to adjust, you may have to pivot, you may have to do all kinds of things. But if you want something bad enough, you can do it. It may take, like I said, may take longer, like this is, or maybe you have to change your mind. This was supposed to be Unified Toolkit already. That was supposed to be launched already, but I had to change that. I had to figure it out, like chunk it up, up into smaller parts. But I'm excited to get back into the product business. And I'm super excited to have this out there. It's just, even though it's just a plugin, just one plugin, it's a product, and it's something we can now market. We can, it's another thing we're doing that can help us with revenue and just help us with projects ourselves. So I'm very, very excited. Again, it will have an effect on our content, everything we're doing. We have kind of who was I talking to about this? I was talking to a friend about this online, where we actually, if you follow us on social media, we have a rotation of content. We've worked really hard on our content the last year and a half, more than a year, and we actually have a 3 to 4 month rotation of topics that we hit. So if you see us periodically talking about servers, that's on a schedule. And those are assets and a library of stuff that we keep, revisiting. In there, I don't know that we even talk about email marketing yet, but one of those pieces in the rotation will be email marketing. So it's going to be a way for us to keep bringing attention back to our plugin, but it's also another thing we can help people with. So it's good, and that's what we're in the business of doing is helping people. We're gonna, how do we benefit from having a plugin? Again, I want to just kind of reiterate this. Why products? For us, for one of the things it does is it diversifies our revenue. Getting into other areas. There's other things that we're going to be doing. So this is a whole we have the services that we provide in web design development. We now will have this product line. It's basically a product line, right? It's a group of products. I just had an incredible meeting with a partner down in Chicago. Actually, this past weekend, I traveled to Chicago. It's not that far from me. I'm in Milwaukee, so we're about an hour and a half drive. But this person came from a different country, and we had an incredible meeting. We spent a couple hours, had lunch. It was great. And talked about some new opportunities. So there's other things we have in the pipeline that we're talking about, other markets we want to conquer. It's related to web design. Okay, it's related to web design development, WordPress. It's related to that. So all those things, there's a theme here, right? 95% of what we do with unified web design is still WordPress. We have WordPress plugins, theme, WordPress system, toolkit, but we have other things happening too. So this is a piece that it helps us diversify and grow, and of course it helps us build our list. It's kind of interesting when you think about it. Like we're selling a product that's going to help us build a niche list around that product topic. Product topics are actually about building a list. So we're building a list around list building and list email marketing. We're actually doing that. So we're actually teaching what we're doing, like literally what we're doing. Okay, I'm going to break my brain if I think too hard about that. But the other benefit here, the reason why and how I structured all these products is that they are first meant to help us. So if we want to build a toolkit and be able to build sites for our clients, we want to build things the way we want to build things, right? We're going to build what we use. One of the things I've always been, the reason why I lean into custom websites is because we can build things custom and only build what we need. That's not always possible in everything that we do or every need. Sometimes you have to use plugins and stuff, but a lot of times, like with custom work, you build what you need. These plugins aren't meant to be like massive and to handle everything on the planet. They're more focused, and we're going to have a lot of different options, but we don't want to make them so bloated that they're ridiculous. We want to build them so they're useful to us, and we only build what we need. So that's a big part of that as well. So use them for clients, use them for our own websites. We have a growing body of websites internally, right? Unified Web Design, mattlevenhagen.com, thebuilders.fm. Now we have Unified Captures, and we're going to have Unified Blocks, and we're going to have Unified Tweaks, and we're going to have Unified Toolkit. We have our own kind of family of websites, all unified in nature. And so we'll use, and they're all WordPress, right? There's another, we use WordPress. you have to use what you sell. If you really want to be authentic online, it'd be pretty silly. It's like unified captures, I was like, oh, I'm going to put it, it's natural for me to want to have a pop-up, and capture names for anyone that doesn't buy even. What am I going to use? I built a name capture plugin. I guess I'm going to use that. It would be really silly if I use a third party plugin to capture names on that site. Now, someone might figure that out. And I don't know if they would trust that our, product is quality. I've got to use it yourself. And it helps us also identify ways to improve it. So that's a huge benefit for us. It becomes part of our toolkit. It becomes part of what we use for clients and our own sites. And again, another revenue stream for us. That I don't know how well it'll do standalone. I don't know if we're going to become the most popular email marketing plugin on the planet. I'd like it to be. But whatever. It has so many different other purposes and uses in our business. And it also helps us build our brand, right? So, doing what we're doing, there's a lot of moving parts. And that's actually funny because I was just thinking this past day I'm trying to, it's like you have things developing, you got to get the site up, you kind of got things together. And I've been kind of doing that over the last few months, just roughly. But at the end of it, but when you get closer and closer to that launch day, you realize all the little loose ends. There's and all the configurations and things that all have to come together, from, the MailChimp side, Freemius, and then the plugin itself, and then how you're delivering that and the copy so there are a lot of things. And like I said, when you're busy already, it can be a little overwhelming, but I'm trying so hard. And it's kind of one of the bad things for me has been the fact that I've lost some people along the way on my list and stuff, because I have no doubt, because I've been talking about this for number one, I had to phase out a product. So that's what losers have to do. You have to, it was a success while I was alive, but we had to phase out a product or a product line. And then I've been talking about Unified Toolkit for 2 years. And then I was going to launch it soon, and that got delayed. And now I'm doing this, and I was like, I'm just going to launch it soon, and it got a little bit more delayed. But so that can be challenging. But all those moving parts. But the only thing I could say, I've done this so many times. I've sold a lot of products over the years. In the last 20 years, I've been online. I've had websites. I've had a lot of products, a lot of digital products, ebooks, sold content. I've sold multiple memberships, big memberships, small memberships, satellite memberships, software, scripts. I've sold all kinds of stuff, WordPress products, and now themes. Actually, strangely, besides that little plugin we created at Rapid Crush, this is the first time I'm going into the actual plugin business. Anyway, there's a lot of things, but all you can do is just, mind map it out, whatever you have to do, and figure out all those little pieces and how they all fit together. And you just do it one step at a time. And, one of the reasons I say and I probably drive my list crazy. The reason why I talk about these things is they work as a little bit of an accountability partner for me. I'm always this big believer, announce you're doing something, because it's going to motivate you, because now you have, people are hanging on it, right? They're like, okay, where is it? People are waiting for it. So it helps with my motivation to announce these things. Even on social media, I'm talking a little bit about it, like something's coming. And so I don't, I have to save face to I have to actually launch this thing. So I have no more delays. And I even told my team that, I told my developer that's doing the review tonight. I said, this is launching one way or another tomorrow. So hopefully I didn't break anything. Hopefully we're good. Please make it a priority. But hard work, patience, otherwise there's really no secret to it. Um, having products is amazing. I love having products. It's, I just some about it. But but they're, like I said, all the moving pieces, depending on what you're selling. If you're selling info products and stuff like that, there's other sales systems out there, ways to do it. But really, all the components are the same, right? You need a way to, got to have a website, got to have a landing page, got to have a button for them to buy. You got to get the word out somehow. The marketing's got to be there. All the stuff around marketing and sales all apply to anything you're selling, right? There's a lot of commonality with all that stuff. And at the end of the day, once this is launched, now we have to move into this new realm and we have to support it. When people find a bug or they need a feature, we have to go through that process of integrating those features or, steering the development of this product now forever. Right. But that's fun. I'm so looking forward to adding features to it and developing and making it awesome. Like being I would love to be like one of the premier email marketing plugins out there. Will we? I mean, there's a lot of consolidation happening in the WordPress space right now. A lot of things happen. I've even seen people talk about it. Oh my gosh, everything's, the big companies are all buying up these little plugins and all that stuff. Well, maybe somebody will. Maybe, might not say no, but no, but at the same time, I think, for me, for us, it's a larger thing. It's not just this one plugin. It's a whole body of plugins and stuff. It's really a big part of our agency and what we're doing. So, it's important. That's about all I have to say about it. I want to always share my journey and how this stuff works. It's a messy process, right? Not everything goes according to plan. Sometimes things get delayed, especially when you're doing complicated things. Plugin development has actually been a little bit more involved than I thought it was. I was a WordPress theme developer. I feel like, and maybe this is pre-Gutenberg too, it used to be a lot easier. There wasn't as much at play. There's a lot more technical stuff to worry about now, and to do it right. We actually had to go through a process of learning Gutenberg development, and I had to learn a lot. And I learned a lot during this process, and that's part of it. Every time you launch a product, you learn new things, you get better at what you do. I'll leave it at this, but one of the other things too. So as an agency, we'll talk to, this talks to just agencies and freelancers. When you do something like this, when I went through all of this process, now I'm going to market it, I'm going to do all this stuff, but just building the site, doing the email lists and all that stuff that I'm doing. Guess who else that benefits? That benefits my clients. Because I do it, because I'm in the business of selling my own products, that differentiates me in the marketplace for my agency. Because, I already have experience, 20 years experience online marketing, and I spent years marketing, advertising, affiliate marketing, all this stuff, right? Selling my own products. But this is another one. This is another notch in my belt, right? What does that even mean, notch in your belt? I looked it up on Google. I know that's a saying, but what does it actually really mean? Why would you put another notch in your belt? Anyway, but it's another thing where I continue to learn and hone my skills and become better. This was a huge challenge for me, and I'm coming out the other side, understanding that challenge and becoming smarter in just the code and the process and all these services and all that stuff. And I know that that will help me in some project with some customer or client in the future with their website stuff. So that's the other part of this. I think, having an agency, being a freelancer and stuff, you want to understand what your client and be able to relate to them and what they're going through and what they're doing. When they're talking about conversions and all that stuff and carts and all that, you will have a better understanding of that and what their pain points are and what they're going through and what they need if you do it yourself. Until next time, hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was interesting and I wasn't too loud. I just feel like I yelled. Have a good one. Take care. That's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, please subscribe if you haven't already and give us a thumbs up if we deserve it. If you want to comment on this episode's page, provide me with requests on topics for future episodes, or inquire about being a guest, please find your way to thebuilders.fm. You can contact me there or add a comment under these show notes. Now a word from our sponsor, my agency, Unified Web Design. We build custom websites, features, we maintain websites, we work with agencies to fulfill their web design and development needs, and more. If you are interested in our services or are looking for an agency to work with as a partner to build awesome sites for your clients, feel free to reach out to me at unifiedwebdesign.com. There's a handy contact me link at the top. Fill out that form and it will open a ticket, and that ticket will find its way to me. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you next time.